I have a feeling Jeff Banks will never be invited back on GB News again, but finally, I do just wonder if the mainstream media are starting to realize there's a story about Meghan Markle and her past that has long not been told, and it's about time that you stop being in cahoots with those losers in Montecito and you start putting your investigations onto what went on. He dropped the bomb that the Soho House meeting between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry was quite clearly engineered. He finally reported on the question marks over the births of Prince Archie and Princess Lily. He heavily hinted what my friend Jessica Reed Krause of House and Habit on Substack has been reporting for some time, that Meghan Markle had a yacht girl past in the Mediterranean, and he even questioned Meghan's age.
Hold on for a moment. What if everything people believed about Archie and Lilibet suddenly turned out to be completely different? Jeff Banks has come forward out of nowhere with bold claims that are catching a lot of attention. Now, people are starting to question the story they have always heard. This is not just another online rumor. It's the kind of statement that is making even longtime followers stop and think again. Jeff Banks didn't stay quiet either. He suggested things that could totally change how people look at this situation. And the timing of all this has made people even more curious.
Out of the royal family, she couldn't be part of all of that. He then, I think, was engineered into a meeting at Soho House with Meghan, and I think there was a lot of engineering went on there. I think she actually has not necessarily told the full truth about her age. I think she's actually a lot older than she actually purports to be. I think even her father and her sister have alluded to that. A lot of her contemporaries at school, which was 6 years more than she actually claims to be, which brings a question mark into the birth of Archie and Lilibet.
I feel you're almost stepping into some conspiracy.
A lot of question marks, and there's a whole period in her life where a lot of the photographs are beginning to surface of her life in the Mediterranean before she even met Harry.
Social media is already lighting up with reactions. Some people are saying this explains a lot, while others are not believing it for even a second. But one thing is clear. This revelation has started a whole new wave of curiosity, and the conversation is getting louder by the minute. Jeff even raised eyebrows by questioning details about Meghan's background, including her age. That alone added another layer to the growing speculation. While some voices connected to Meghan's family have pushed back on certain claims, much of what was said still left many people stunned. It is rare to see this kind of discussion happening so openly, and it has sparked a bigger question. Are major media outlets finally starting to explore stories they once avoided?
I mean, if you look at how Meghan is with Harry right now, how tenacious she is and how she's trying to do any and everything she can around podcast, documentary, a book, interview with Oprah. Like, the girl has just went full-blown, like, doing it all since she came into this position with Harry. So it makes a lot of sense that Meghan had a previous life where she was doing the things that she's doing with Harry now that she was doing them before she knew Harry. Absolutely. I think it makes people wonder what is there, because there is definitely something there.
Absolutely. And we know that Jessica Reed Krause of House and Habit says that she has the receipts, and the yacht girl story is something that she has been working on now for years.
There is also a growing feeling that this could have bigger consequences, especially when it comes to how the royal family is viewed and discussed. Some believe these conversations could influence opinions about titles and roles within the monarchy, which only adds more pressure to the situation. For now, though, all attention is on Jeff Banks and the impact of his statements. More and more people are tuning in to hear what comes next. Before diving into deeper analysis, many are simply watching closely as each claim unfolds, one after another. And with every new detail, the reactions keep building, creating a wave that does not seem to slow down anytime soon.
I'm friends with Samantha Markle, and she is absolutely convinced. She's seen this going viral again, Pete Diner, and she is absolutely convinced that it is totally wrong and totally unfair to suggest that the Markle family have been involved in any type of bid to cover up the truth about Meghan's age. And it is just worth me taking you through some of what she's actually said on this P. Dinah. Sam says she was 11 in 1975. They were still in Chicago at that point, P. Dinah. So she says, there's no way my sister could only be 10 years younger than me. Everyone can verify at the school where she started in pre-kindergarten in the mid-80s. So she was born in 81. We know when she was born, she was a baby in our house. I went through Doria as pregnancy with her. She watched her stomach move and all of that other stuff. There's several pictures of Meghan on stage with all of her classmates at their little red schoolhouse in 1986 when she was 5.
He went even further, saying, I think she is actually a lot older than she claims to be. You could feel the tension rise instantly. When asked to clarify, he did not hesitate. He doubled down and said yes, even pointing out that members of her own family have hinted at similar things. He also mentioned people from her school years, suggesting there may be a gap of several years compared to what is publicly known. According to him, this raises fresh questions, especially those connected to Archie and Lilibet. Then the conversation took another turn. He claimed there are still major gaps in her timeline, gaps that people are now starting to notice more closely. He spoke about images now surfacing from her time in the Mediterranean, before she met Harry. He hinted that there may be more to that period than what has been shared publicly. According to him, a lot may have been happening behind the scenes, and he believes that, eventually, more details could come out.
The Meghan Markle yacht girl claims simply will not go away. And you know I've spoken about this before, but until now, no one in the mainstream media has been brave enough to go there. Well, that has just changed.
We have to remember that there are things that they couldn't even say about this. But I think now they're allowed to start, questioning things about Meghan that we all have some evidence of. I mean, what is she doing on the yacht?
At one point, someone responded by saying, if she really were older, she looks good. It was framed as a compliment, but the tone quickly shifted back to criticism. There were also sarcastic remarks about her business ventures. Some suggested that maybe a skincare line would make more sense, although not everyone seemed convinced that idea would work. The conversation then turned toward public opinion. There were claims that audiences in both the US and the UK have strong views, but there was disagreement about how people feel about Harry. One voice tried to suggest there is still some level of support for him, but that idea was quickly shut down. Another speaker pushed back strongly, saying there was no need to defend it at all. The discussion became chaotic, fast-moving, and filled with strong opinions going back and forth. Still, Jeff Banks stood firm. He came across as confident and well-prepared, with many noting that he has clearly looked into these topics very deeply.
She's being paid to do something very similar, with her title, because that's what she always wanted to do. And it looks so cheap. It looks desperate. And it just makes Meghan look like that yacht girl that she was, that we know she was. We all know Harry is very miserable right now. We just saw when they were in Jordan how he wanted nothing to do with Meghan. I think the signs are there that Harry wants to get back to his royal life. He needs to get back to what is familiar to him.
The host, who actually knows quite a bit about Meghan as well, tried to keep things on track. But you could feel just how intense the moment had become. Even she seemed caught in the middle of a conversation that was getting more heated by the second, as the claims just kept coming. At one point, she even had someone speaking to her through her earpiece, saying, "You've got to push back, you've got to push back." That alone made the moment feel even more tense. She admitted, "It's very unlike me to actually have to do pro-Meghan Markle balance." And that statement raised eyebrows on its own. It made people wonder how these discussions are managed on air, and whether there is pressure behind the scenes shaping how far things can really go. Then the focus shifted again, asking whether this moment could finally push mainstream media to dig deeper into the bigger picture. The response suggested that this situation has already sparked curiosity, especially among people who may have never looked into these topics before.
A lot of the royal watchers were complaining that they felt like her posts on social media where she barely shows the kids is almost taunting the king, who doesn't know these children, and how unfair this is.
This case about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump. The fact is, Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince.
For those who were already familiar with these discussions, it felt like confirmation of things they had quietly questioned for a long time, but rarely heard spoken out loud. The conversation then moved toward Meghan's current moves, highlighting how active and determined she has been. From podcasts, to documentaries, to books, and major interviews, she has been everywhere. The argument was simple, but powerful. If she has this much drive now, wouldn't that same energy have existed long before she met Harry? That idea alone made people start connecting the dots and rethinking the story they had believed up until now. They went on to suggest that entering high-level social circles often requires navigating complex environments and chasing opportunities wherever they appear. From that point of view, it would not be surprising if she explored multiple paths earlier in life, while trying to build connections and open doors. These claims do not come with clear proof, but they definitely add more layers to the story people are now examining closely. By the end of it, the tone shifted into pure speculation, with one clear takeaway. More people are now stopping and asking what might still be hidden. Because, as they put it, there is a strong feeling that there is more yet to be uncovered, and that curiosity is not going away anytime soon. They also pointed out that Jessica Reed Krause, from House and Habit, has claimed for a long time that she has proof to support her reporting, and that this so-called yacht girl narrative is something she has been investigating for years.
Harry and Meghan playing games that resulted in people unnecessarily questioning things. Every toxicity is a result of them.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. The truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage by the British media, the public and the royal family that they've all now abandoned. That's the truth.
That alone adds another layer to everything being discussed, especially as more people begin paying attention to these claims again. But then the focus sharpens on one key question: who actually arranged that first meeting? They bring up Marcus Anderson, from Soho House, someone deeply connected in elite circles, and still closely linked to Meghan and Harry even now, while others have faded away. That detail stands out, because it raises questions about why certain relationships remain strong, while others disappear. It also leads people to wonder what role he may have played behind the scenes. The idea of powerful connections comes up again, with suggestions that Marcus Anderson knows influential figures who are still part of Meghan's world today. From that angle, it creates a bigger picture, where people begin to question whether higher-level influences were involved. Nothing is clearly proven, but it definitely keeps curiosity alive. Then the tone shifts slightly, as one speaker pushes back on Jeff Banks' claims, especially the discussion around Meghan's age. They bring up Samantha Markle, saying she strongly disagrees with the idea that the family had anything to do with hiding or misrepresenting that information. According to reports, she believes those claims are completely unfair and inaccurate, offering a very different perspective.
They're legally covering their backs. There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily quit her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily, or delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing.
Now, you have multiple sides clashing. Bold claims, strong denials, and a growing sense that this story is far from settled. As they begin to go deeper into what Samantha Markle said, the conversation becomes much more detailed. She stated, "I was 11 in 1975, and we were still in Chicago at that time," making it clear that she strongly disagrees with the timeline being questioned. She went on to say there is no way her sister could be only 10 years younger than her, pointing to school records and early childhood memories as proof. She explained that Meghan started pre-kindergarten in the mid-80s and that she was born in 1981. She even described witnessing her mother's pregnancy firsthand, saying she saw her stomach grow and everything that came with it. On top of that, she mentioned photos from a school play in 1986 showing Meghan on stage at 5 years old, and insisted those images can be verified. Then she broke it down with simple math, saying, "In August, she will be 45, and I was born in 1964. In 1986, I was 22. So how could she be in her 50s and only 10 years younger than me?
First thing is that these children are being raised in some type of freak show. You know, it's like they are Michael Jackson's children who were paraded to the world but covered up in masks. Yeah, but then remember, he covered their identities and their faces in masks. You know, so of course they're very likely to be messed up, growing up with such messed up parents who are using them in such a mucked up manner. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say on the titles is that I think what Prince William is acutely aware of, and this has certainly been my reporting, is that look at what happened when you allowed to run rampant for so many years, chasing the cash.
It was a direct challenge to the claims being made, and she clearly stood by her version without hesitation. The discussion then shifted to credibility. It was pointed out that the Markle family has not exactly been known for defending Meghan, which makes this moment stand out even more. The argument was simple. If there were any truth to the age rumors, this would be the moment the family would speak differently. One speaker even mentioned asking Samantha directly before, saying, "What is her real age?" and claimed she confirmed it without hesitation. From that perspective, they said they believe Samantha's account, arguing that a family with this much tension would not miss the chance to expose something if it were true. Then the conversation zoomed out to a bigger point, the idea that public opinion may be shifting. They pointed to figures like Dan Wootton, who once supported Harry and Meghan, but is now reportedly speaking more openly about challenges in their relationship. This shift suggests that even longtime supporters may be changing their views, adding more momentum to the discussion. Then attention turned to Harry's movements. It was noted that after spending only a few days back home, he reportedly left again, heading to Ukraine. The way it was described, he seemed more comfortable being away, which led to speculation that he might be avoiding things at home. And that raised a bigger question. How long can someone keep avoiding problems before they have to face them?
California Birth Index, and per the website at thecaliforniabirthindex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California for extracts of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official record shows
Duchess of Sussex, no longer HRH, was safely delivered of a son, and she and her child are both doing well. So back to the tradition of putting out a framed bulletin or a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births has been going on since 1837, so it's a cool tradition. And George, Charlotte, and Louis' easels listed the doctors' names with signatures, birth weight and time, and referenced the royal family.
The discussion then moved toward financial pressure, suggesting that money could also be part of the situation. There were claims that major income sources may not last forever, which raises concerns about what lies ahead. From this viewpoint, it suggests there could be serious challenges in the future, especially if things behind closed doors are as complicated as many believe. What really stood out was the mention of Dan Wootton again, someone who once strongly supported Harry and Meghan. Now, he is reportedly speaking more openly about struggles in their relationship, even suggesting some issues may be very difficult to fix. That shift in tone caught attention, because it shows that even past supporters may be changing how they see things. The focus then returned to Harry leaving so quickly. One speaker questioned how someone could leave again, right after time away from their partner and children. The reaction was simple. It just did not add up. There was a strong suggestion that he may be trying to create distance from his current life, possibly feeling uncomfortable despite the lifestyle. The overall impression was that he prefers movement, travel, and activity, rather than staying in one place. When everything is put together, the conclusion from their perspective is clear. The relationship may not be as strong as it once seemed.
That it just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. He was going to be a private citizen. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed race child. And then it was kind of like...
The idea being pushed is that he wants space, freedom, and a lifestyle that feels more like his own. Then the conversation turned toward financial pressure again. It was pointed out that money problems can push any relationship to its limits. When uncertainty increases, tension usually follows. And when money becomes tight, cracks often start to show. This could be adding another layer of stress to an already complicated situation. There was also speculation that he may be searching for a new normal, trying to figure out where he truly fits in the long term. At the same time, some suggested that his actions continue to frustrate the royal family, especially when unexpected decisions disrupt important events. One example mentioned was a sudden visit that reportedly clashed with Prince William's schedule and Prince Louis's birthday. These moments only add more tension to an already complex situation. The frustration grows stronger with claims that this pattern keeps repeating, and that some within royal circles see it as crossing a line. The tone becomes sharper, describing him as someone who seems uncertain about his direction. The idea is that until he gets a clear response from the monarchy, especially from his father, this cycle may continue.
They decide, okay, well, we have to come out and show the baby in some way, but we're not coming out to the street. The filthy masses are not going to have anything to do with our kid. So then they show up and there's Meghan in her white dress with Harry, and he's holding this completely still baby.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
Photos and videos of Prince William, Catherine, Prince Edward, and Sophie began circulating widely, with some calling them the new Fab Four. That moment grabbed attention instantly. According to the discussion, it may have had a strong impact, because it showed the royal family moving forward without him. One reaction summed it up simply. When I saw that, I thought yes. The deeper meaning is clear. Those images highlight how much has changed. The conversation suggests that Harry may still want to be part of that inner circle, and that desire has not gone away. But now, it feels like he is watching from the outside, as things continue without him. This shift is described as personal, something that may be affecting him emotionally. The idea is that he is trying to hold on to that identity, even as everything around him changes. His constant travel and appearances are seen as a way to stay active and possibly escape the pressure. Each move, from this perspective, is about creating space while also trying to remain relevant.
With either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country.
Even if Harry and Meghan right now are earning their own money, that well is drying up. You've got to take the ability for them to damage the royal family in the future away, and you've got to do that now. You've got to do it swiftly.